Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie O'Leary, Alec Krauthamel. This is part 2 of today's commitment pods. This is to discuss the 6'6", 220-pound tight end commit that Rutgers got this week following the weekend visit from DJ Howerton. He is from Grimsley High School in Greensboro, North Carolina. Rich, tell us about how Rutgers got involved with him and how he got into the fold as a Scarlet Knight.
It kind of goes with the entire narrative of this class. They kind of offered a lot of them back in, I guess, from January to May. And this kid was offered in January, got to campus a little bit after that. I think he showed up on that second junior day visit for the, I forget what basketball game it was on February 1st, but it was one of the basketball games.
I think it was Michigan.
That might have been it. You might be right. And it was one of those guys that takes up the seats in the student section that everyone complains about. He was there for that game. And then he came back for the spring game, and he just really loved everything about Rutgers. He built a really good relationship with Scott Vallone. We know Scott Vallone is great when it comes to these North Carolina kids, built a ton of connections with staffs down there. Kind of just continues that trend of North Carolina kids going to Rutgers. They beat out some significant competition here because Florida State was after him pretty heavily. I know North Carolina State was expected to host him for an official visit. Utah was expected to host him for an official visit. So to beat out those three schools, I mean, that's not only just 3 Power 4 schools, but they're local schools too. So to beat out them was huge. I know Florida was also pretty high on his list. He liked Florida a lot, went back there in March. Was looking into schedule an official visit there too. So, I mean, this is just a really big get for Rutgers. They just, again, it's these official visits. They really just sell the kids on everything from top to bottom. He plays with some really top level players. He is the number 1 quarterback in the 26 cycle. 26 cycle. I was waiting for Alex Nod to confirm that. So he plays with the number 1 quarterback in the 26 cycle. Doesn't get a ton of reps at tight end, but he does get his passes here and there. But I mean, he's a really solid positional player, and it's interesting how they're going to go about these tight end positions because we know they landed Brady Owens, who more of a blocker, I guess, than a receiver, and you get Howerton, who's more of a receiver than a blocker. Mix them both. You could teach them both the opposite when they get to campus, but just kind of eventually you'll probably figure one that works out. Maybe both. Maybe you start running some more 12 personnel sets if you get some really good tight ends. Who knows? But I mean, I think it's just a really good get for Rutgers, another North Carolina kid, and he's got a damn good teammate, Koshi Barnes, at corner, who they are also after pretty heavily.
Forgot that they were teammates.
Yes.
Definitely a good thing to keep in mind for later in the pod when we discuss potential additional players committing from this past weekend visit. Alec, what did you see on tape that kind of stuck out to you about DJ Howerton?
Yeah, like Richie said, definitely more of that field stretcher vertical type tight end. Also, like Richie said, one of those guys that has the number 1 quarterback in the country in 2026. So a lot of impressive throws and also impressive catches, which definitely helps when you have a really good quarterback. Didn't see as much with the blocking, like Richie said, not as many reps there on his tape, but you can see just the burst of athleticism he has after the catch point. He's a guy that they throw it to him as a short yardage guy, as you saw in that play where have him on a stick route. He just goes and bursts through the entire defense. They can also throw deep to him, as you're seeing here. Really nice job high pointing the ball, making that contested catch through contact. They put him on the slot. They put him in line, as you're seeing here. So definitely a lot to like as just a receiving tight end option. Again, kind of a short yardage guy that can just kind of use his run after catch ability to kind of burst through the defense. It's a really solid tight end get. And I think we're seeing a similar model for this tight end class as we saw in 2024, because last year they only took 1 tight end, Ben Rothar. But this year, we're seeing them take, obviously, like Richie said, Brady Owens is also a really good blocker, while Howerton's more of a vertical field stretching guy. We saw that in 2024 with Monty Keener, who was, if I remember correctly at the time when he was in his recruitment, when he committed, was also more of a blocking type guy, also had some receiving chops, but was a very good blocker. And then Matthew Gunnier, who ended up going to UMass out of the portal. But he was also profiled as that more vertical field stretching guy as well. So we're kind of seeing like a model there where if you take one of each, chances are one of them is probably going to pan out. You get a couple of different skill sets. And like Richie kind of mentioned, they had a lot of competition. He had official visits already scheduled to Florida, Utah, Florida State, and North Carolina State. So to get that first official visit, like we keep talking about, it's kind of flipped where you want to be that first official visit and kind of wow them and get them to shut it down immediately. And that's exactly what Rutgers did here. And again, like Richie said, it's a feather in the cap of Scott Vallone, who's done a great job recruiting in North Carolina and recruiting kind of tight ends in general. Is a pretty impressed with this get. And again, Koshi Barnes, teammate who also visited over the weekend, maybe could try to recruit him. Guy that they're after who visited over the weekend. I definitely like this tight end get, and I like that they're going after multiple different skill sets at the tight end position, seeing what they can work with. Obviously, Howerton's got the athleticism, as you're seeing throughout his tape. Also, Faison Brandon, number 1 quarterback in the country, very good. I like that he's also pretty aware in the scramble drill as well. When Brandon kind of rolls out, you're seeing him kind of get to his spots. And here's another contested catch through contact, high pointing the ball, hauling it in. So as a receiving tight end, really a lot to like from his skill set and how he works in the receiving game.
Another guy with the prototypical frame and athletic skills to play the position. Now they just got to bulk him up and get him ready to do that at the Power 4 level. Rich, what were some of the other schools that were in contention for DJ Howerton? Who were some of the top competition that Rutgers beat out for him?
Yeah, like Alex said, Florida, North Carolina State, Florida State, and Utah. But you watch his tape here, and it's interesting. He gives me Kenny Fletcher type vibes, where he's a really good, but more of a receiver than a blocker. But he shows he's a more than willing blocker. Like he's pancaking dudes, he's pushing them down the field, 10 yards down the field. He's following the running back and just blocking for him. Like he does a little bit of everything. He's more of it's weird to say more of a polished Kenny Fletcher because Kenny Fletcher is what was their starting tight end, but I feel like he is kind of more than that. Like he is the more polished version. He's a better receiver. No offense to Kenny. I think Kenny's developed quite a bit, but I think that this kid's actually a really good get. We'll wait and see how he develops, but yeah, I mean, they beat out some really solid comp locally and just SEC too.
Yeah, and they like to use him all across the formation and all across in many different routes. In the passing game, you saw clips of him being used in screens. You saw clips of him just going, finding space in like zone defense and sitting down, and you kind of having a good feel for where the opening's going to be. They also, threw a bunch of seam balls to him, which is what you want to see. You want to see versatility out of your tight end in the passing game. Seems like he has a good feel for the passing game in general. So I like this pickup. Can't say I know a ton about him, but based on what you guys have said and what I've watched, good pickup. Anything else about DJ Howerton that we haven't touched on that you guys think we should talk about?
I know when you talked to him about his commitment and his visit and all that, I thought one interesting thing that he mentioned was obviously, the connections with the staff, the relationships with the staff, everyone says that. And it's, obviously based on how well they've recruited in the past couple of years and this year, it's definitely true. I think Logan Blake was his player host, which was definitely a big help. And he also mentioned the education, which we haven't seen too many guys mention. But obviously Rutgers has a pretty good reputation academically, and it seems like that's something that stuck out to him as well. So it's another pretty solid, notch for Rutgers academically.
Okay, let's transition to some of the other visitors who were on campus who might not have committed, but there was a big impression made for the Scarlet Knights. Rich, who are some players that immediately come to mind when you think maybe they haven't committed yet, but it might be on the horizon for the Scarlet Knights?
Running back Michael Dukes is one to kind of monitor closely. He's a Toledo commit currently, but Michigan State also just offered like 2 weeks ago, not even like a week and a half ago. And they're supposed to get him on campus this weekend. We'll see if that ends up happening or not. I think it's this weekend, or Toledo's this weekend, and Michigan State's the weekend after. No, yeah, Michigan State's this weekend. Toledo's the weekend after. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be an interesting battle. Rutgers felt pretty confident right after the visit. Now it's a little wishy-washy because Michigan State's kind of throwing their pitch and saying, hey, hometown school, like Detroit, like East Lansing, we're not too far from each other. Home state, blah, 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 come rep. So he's one to kind of monitor. They're also bringing in Jonathan Brown this weekend, some kind of foreshadowing a little bit. I think Brown's probably still going to be the running back in this class when it's all said and done. Could they take both? Could they? Yes. Will they? I'm going to say no. Kai Pritchard was on campus this past weekend. He's kind of running out of time. It's more or less like shit or get off the pot. Like, sorry for the lack of a better analogy, but it's...
Didn't you make that analogy last time too?
Probably. But I just like to curse, That's my thing. Anyway, they have, 6 offensive linemen right now? And Kai Pritchard's in a weird boat where he could be a tackle, could be a guard. I think he's better guard than tackle at the next level. We already have Jared Smith, 4-star, Logan Anthony, 3-star, Donovan Johnson, who massive, by the way. We talked about this in our chat the other day. Massive 3-star. High 3-star, I should say. So you kind of have to commit or you're going to lose your spot. I know it's weird to say that about a 4-star offensive lineman, but we're at that point where Rutgers is not going to wait around anymore. They have some really good commits already on offensive line. They have another offensive lineman coming in this weekend in Jesse Moody, who could be 7. I don't see them taking 8. So you probably have to make your decision really soon as you're Pritchard. Right now, I'm leaning towards taking the future castaway and probably submitting it for Boston College, which doesn't sting because it's like you had your chance. You didn't. So we'll just go get someone else. Tyson Harley, edge rusher from Gonzaga, released the top 5 right before his Rutgers visit. Rutgers, Michigan State, Penn State, Maryland, Virginia Tech. It's going to take all 5. Then he'll decide. I think the further away you get from that Rutgers visit, the less of a chance they have. I think right now, Penn State's probably the one to watch. He'll be there this weekend. He had a midweek to Michigan State. That sounds like it went pretty well, but I think Penn State's the one to beat in that race. Reston Lehman, edge rusher. He's going to Pitt this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up at Pitt. Who else? Carter Gooden, Tabor Academy kid, Canadian. We talked about a little bit. He has Michigan State, or he had Michigan State midweek also. He's going to Penn State this week, and then Syracuse and Boston College. I kind of feel better about Rutgers' chances there than most, but we'll wait and see how that ends up playing out. He wants to take all 5 no matter what. More 5, because you could take 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever now. He did go to Arizona State too, so he technically, and UCLA. So technically he's going to take 7 official visits, but crazy to say that. I think they'll wait for him because he's that good. And then Tavian Branch is expected to commit June 11th now. And that's a big game changer because originally he's going to take all his officials visits and then commit. Now he's not even taking the Penn State official anymore. So now it's more of a Rutgers-Oklahoma battle. He'll be at Oklahoma this weekend. That's going to be the one that's fresh in his mind. It's going to be tough to beat them, I think. But I think Rutgers made up a lot of ground this past weekend, and it's going to be very close when it's all said and done. It's going to come down to if you want to play closer to home or if you want to play away from home. Also, you got to factor in, and I'm sure people are going to be shocked by this, but I'm sure Rutgers is probably saying, like, hey, like, how much longer is Brett Venables going to be there? Let's be honest. Like, Rutgers, bad mouth recruiting? No way. So there's 99% of college football programs, but I think they'd be crazy not to say it. So we do know that we saw him at the camp recently. He was rocking an Oklahoma hoodie, so that's something to monitor too. Who else? Koshi Barnes, teammate of DJ Howerton, loved his visit, but he's going to take other visits still. So wait and see how that one ends up playing out. And then Jamarius Conyers, the Florida DB, is probably one to keep a close eye on. He will be at, where the hell is he going this week? He's going to North Carolina State and then Wake Forest and South Florida. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up making a decision after this NC State visit, whether it be Rutgers or NC State, but we'll kind of wait and see how that one plays out. They got a big weekend coming up too with a couple other uncommitted guys, so we'll wait and see what happens because these official visits have changed the entire tune of recruitments for some kids.
Yeah, I'm counting right now the number of visitors for this upcoming weekend. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 committed players in Cameron Green, Whitey Collier, Elias Koch, Dizier Carter, Chris Hewitt as the committed players. And then uncommitted, we have Devontae Anderson right now, the safety. We have Jesse Moody, the offensive tackle out of Philly. Rael Kelly, who's another safety who's committed to Toledo. Javonte Williams, the athlete. Jermaine Polk, the defensive end. Justin Edwards, linebacker.
Javonte Williams, probably not going to happen because he's a tight end and they're just done with tight ends. And
good point.
Same thing with Carr. I'm sure, I don't know if you have him on that list or not. Dante Carr, he was the quarterback / athlete.
He's not on this list. No.
He's now he's also canceled. He committed to UCF, so But it doesn't matter because they got their 2 tight ends. They would have kept them unofficial if they wanted to.
So we also have Justin Edwards, the linebacker, Jet Goldsberry, the athlete, Amiri Clark, the defensive tackle, and Jonathan Brown, the running back. That's the full list as of now. That list is likely going to be updated with new players,
Yes.
Both because Rutgers has commits in the slots that those guys might have taken, and also because these things are always changing. So is there anything else that we wanted to cover before we head out of here today, guys?
Alec, you got anything?
I do not.
All right. I got one thing. Landon Mack, big blow for the baseball team. Friday night pitcher. Landon Mack has entered the portal. It was all Big Ten freshman team. Posted a 4.03 ERA, 15 starts, 6-5 on the year. Also just got invited to this USA Baseball Collegiate Training Camp. That is a big blow. Because it's just impossible to keep anyone, and not only at Rutgers, but the Big Ten in general is just losing guys left and right. It's just you're essentially a feeder program when it comes to baseball because everyone wants to play in the South.
Yeah, also losing Justin Shadek, one of the other pitchers, who was also pretty solid. I mean, the numbers might not say with the 7.78 ERA, but he was very solid as the season went on. But yeah, you had some of your. You at least had the framework of a solid rotation built up with those, with Landon Mack, Justin Shadek, and then Zach Konstantinovsky, who didn't pitch this year due to injury, who's a redshirt freshman this year, going to be redshirt sophomore next year. You had that framework kind of lined up, and now 2 of those guys are gone. So yeah, it's been a tough portal cycle for Rutgers baseball. A lot of the other names that have gone into the portal aren't as much of a blow.
I thought Hunter Hoaxie was kind of a blow a little bit.
He was solid. He was definitely solid. He was a solid reliever.
Yeah.
But I feel like in baseball, I don't know if it's just a Rutgers thing or if it's like a baseball thing, kind of college baseball thing in general. I feel like bullpens can be so, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, fickle, I guess. Like Rutgers has kind of rebuilt its bullpen multiple years in a row. So yeah, it definitely hurts, especially considering he was pretty solid as a true freshman. So he could have continued to grow in the program. But yeah. Definitely the pitching has taken a tough blow. So we'll see whether they continue to rebuild from the lower levels like they have in the past, or what their strategy is from here on out.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. We'll see how the baseball team can bounce back in the portal and hopefully turn the direction of the program around, because ever since the 21 season where they had a season or a program high in wins, it was either 21 or 22.
22, yeah, 22.
Yeah, they've had a steady decline that they haven't been able to fix. So,
and they've also changed the Big Ten tournament format in just as many years.
Yeah, and they made it though this year. So
they did make it. Yeah, they had a solid end to the year. It didn't start off very well, but they really got some momentum going. Won some series in the Big Ten. I don't know how you fix the Big Ten tournament. Lord knows they've tried like 3 times now, but I don't know.
It's a mess, and it's a shame that almost that every program doesn't have a team. Looking at you, you know what I'm talking
Wisconsin.
about. Yeah. It's funny that
although according to some of the memorabilia coming from the Big Ten tournament, they do have a baseball team.
That's such a crazy thing to put them on there.
Yeah.
And it's tough though. It's like you look at the hierarchy for football where it's like the power 2 of the SEC and the Big Ten. You kind of flip the Big Ten with the ACC. It's kind of like the power 2 for baseball, I guess. I don't know. But it's tough to compete when a lot of the talents in like the South or the Midwest and things like that. It's tough to compete.
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. Thanks once again for listening, telling a friend. We will have a preview podcast for this upcoming weekend's official visitors, probably on Friday, if I had to guess. But until then, stay tuned to the boards because news comes fast sometimes, and who knows, there might be another additional pod later this week, depending on how some things break. But just stay tuned to your podcast feed. Stay tuned to your YouTube. If you don't have notifications on for when we put up a new episode, definitely do that. It's super helpful. Stay tuned to the boards because we always put the breaking news there first and foremost. But for me, Richie, and Alec, this has been another edition of the Knight Report podcast. Signing off.